Dear listeners and viewers, you are already having the themes of the novel with you. You must have gone through, and I have deliberately explained the themes in details. Since many of the questions are asked from themes separately, and you may have a better understanding of the novel. Now, I have come with the narrative technique of the novel for which it is better known. The Shadow Lines has been written on the historical backdrop of World War II, partition of India, and the riots and violences in Calcutta and Dhaka in the year 1963-64. It also deals with Swadeshi movement that started in Bengal after its partition. Since the novel has been written after Rushdie's Midnight Children, it also bears ingredients of post-colonial literature and colonial elements based on realism. Shadowlines in itself is a symbol which indicates division of a nation into two or more parts. These lines are invisible, imaginary, and arbitrarily drawn by politicians. Hence, they are shadow lines. They are invisible. The next question arises as to how many boundaries can be drawn, how many imaginary lines can be drawn. These lines cannot separate people's memories and their interdependence, and people cannot forget their sense of belonging for their place of birth. The novel shows diasporic imagination at play. This is important to be remembered. Diasporic imagination. Ghosh admits that this novel has been international from the very beginning, as it deals with issues like nationalism, political freedom, drawing of maps and borders, internationalism, and multiculturalism. Ghosh is essentially a post colonial and modern writer who has depicted trajectory of events both past and present which caused dislocations of places, time frames, and movement. Ghosh has deliberately implied an unnamed narrator, problem of memories, little histories, challenging the meta narratives of the empire and the nation states. The stories are depicted in various time frames, various narratives in different spaces, and they are well knitted and interwoven by the author. Ghosh uses the narrator to reconstruct the storyline through flashback technique. This is to be remembered that flashback technique has been used by the author. The use of symbols and imagery, metaphor as a structural elements indicate a conscious purpose that yields an extraordinary symmetry of form. That is to say, that these symbols and imagery, metaphors, have been used deliberately to create a symmetry of form of the novel. As it happens to be a memory novel, the narrative has a non-linear structure. This is also important to be remembered. It moves back and forth in utter disregard of our conventional notion of time and space. And we find emergence of little history of national importance, memories and recollection of the past and the present do not hamper the histories in any way. Novel depicts colonial and contemporary past through the memories of different characters. John Mee, Jon John Mee has divided the novel into three time frames. Firstly, the war years when Ela and Trideep are in London with the Price's family. Secondly, the early 1960s till the Trideep's death and narrator's childhood. Thirdly, 1980s when the narrator is a student in London. The events are not depicted in a chronological order. This is also to be remembered. Important one. The events keep shifting from one time scheme to the other and also from one location to the other. The important feature of the novel is that it is divided into two parts, going away and coming home. These depict the enigma of non belonging of the characters, which dominates the characteristics of the most of the characters. There is a constant tussle between what is real and what is unreal. Something like Rushdie's novel Midnight's Children. Narrator's mind and imagination play important role in identifying which characters are real and which are imaginary. The narrator says, in our family, we do not know whether we are going or coming. It is all my grandmother's fault, but of course, which permits the proper use of the verbs of movement. Page 169. Ghosh depicts that language depends on meaning and imagination. Thus, he has challenged the language of the text of the novel. Here, the novel, we find a play with language. The author says that even the language has no fixed meaning, it has not a fixed signifier and signified. At the end, the narrator is away from home. So, whether the characters are away from home or at home, the narrator does not know. This is a playful of language which keeps us engaged and makes the novel beautiful. All the characters are interconnected through memories. Thamma is hardworking woman, a great nationalist and also a traditionalist. That's why she says Ela is a whore. She faces hamartia when she goes to pick Jethu Mosai in Dhaka. The next important character is the narrator himself, who was born in 1952. He is a collector and filterer of the stories. He has intimate knowledge of the colonizers and collects stories with the help of the map atlases and prefers imagining the past and the stories narrated by Tridib to him. Though he has not witnessed any of the events, he has ability to create the past history. This credit may be given partly to Tridib and partly attributed to the narrator and his great imaginative faculty. The narrator is deeply fascinated with atlas maps and mirrors written by Meenakshi Mukherjee. That's why, in a sense, the novel invites us to create a history out of events either in the past or in the present. Narrator, narrator's resolution comes finally while he is in London, and this resolution comes in the context of Tridip's death. Ela is another important character and daughter of Jatin. Her father is a diplomat and she has traveled a lot from one country to the other, but she has a limited imaginative power than that of the narrator. Though he has not traveled and he has been confined to Calcutta only. Ela is a cosmopolitan daughter of Jatin with limited imaginative faculty. She has a different kind of mind, and the narrator thinks that she has not traveled at all. She has, in fact, been caught in the third space. She wants to be free of India. The concept of freedom has a different meaning for Thamma and Ela. Ela finally leaves India and goes to London. She has no she has an automatic explosion. She says she wants to be free of India, its people, customs, traditions, restrictions, regulations, hierarchies, and bondages. On the other hand, Thamma says freedom is earned as a right. Ela has no right to live in India. Thamma further says, it took those people time to build the country, hundreds of years, years and years of war. They know they're a nation became, they have drawn their boundaries with blood. Page 77 78. This statement of Thamma is very interesting as she knows better how the borders are drawn. Childhood of the narrator has been depicted as one of the important themes also. The narrator is a child born in 1952, looks the world through Trideep's eyes. He says, Trideep had given me world to see, to travel, and had given me eyes to see it. When Trideep was alive and was in deep love with May, and both were meeting at Gold Park in Calcutta. As a child, the narrator says, I was jealous, achingly jealous, as only a child can be, because it had always been my privilege to understand Trideep, and that at the Victoria Memorial, I know I had lost that privilege. Somehow May had stolen from me. Thus, the narrator in is extremely possessive to Trideep and his life. His memories, even after he is grown up, are always attached to Trideep's vision and narration. Victoria Memorial incident is the reflection of a child's mind depicted in in his actions. He finds some kind of exotic relatives and thinks this type of relatives cannot be reduced to blood relatives. He thinks of May in this regard. Ella marries Nick, and when she compares the narrator with Nick, he feels a sense of inferiority complex. The peculiarity of the narrative technique is that the whole narrative is narrated in single person I, and Ghosh has put his imagination wherever it is required. Binda Bose opines, in Ghosh fiction, the diasporic entity continuously negotiates between two lands separated by time and space, history and geography, and attempts to redefine that present through understanding the past. In the novel Shadow Lines, These lines have been depicted as unreal and arbitrary. When Thamma goes to Dhaka in 1964 to pick Jethu Mosai, her 90 years old uncle, Jethu Mosai discusses about partition, about shadow lines. Jethu Mosai says, once you start moving, you never stop. It is very well you are going away now, but suppose if another line is drawn, then where will you go? No one will have you anywhere. This statement depicts clearly lines are drawn arbitrarily, which people do not understand. These lines are drawn due to political turbulences between common people of the same lands. Shadow lines also is very much similar to Sahadat Hasan Manto's novel, a short story, Toba Tek Singh, which was written by Manto in the year 1955 on partition. Toba Tek Singh is in a mental asylum, and and during that period partition takes place, and nobody knows where Toba Tek Singh will go. Toba Tek Singh says it was all confusing, and who could say if India and Pakistan might not entirely disappear from the face of the earth one day. There is a confusion. Where is the place where Toba Tek Singh will go? Thus, Manto discusses sarcastically how the lines are drawn in an arbitrary manner by few politicians. There are some interesting features about the narrator. He does not take seriously which appear in newspapers, and he conforms to his memories only. May is in diasporic anxieties. Eli is caught in the third space. May and Thamma both are alien in Dhaka. Thamma, after reaching Dhaka, frequently says, "Where is Dhaka? Where is Dhaka?" She does not recognize her parental house. Hence, they suffer from identity crisis. Joseph Conrad, the great author, in his work Shadow Lines, also says these lines divides youth from maturity. Hence, May, Thamma are quite alien in Dhaka. They depict anxiety of Indianness. However, Meenakshi Mukherjee says the Shadow Lines is the novel written in 90s that will survive all the rest that appeared in the decade. The novel betrays no anxiety of Indianness because it attempts to prove nothing and interrogates rather than defines the concept of totalizing India. Hence, the novel stands favorite for the critics as well as for the readers. Thus, you viewers must have understood the narrative technique used by the author and why this novel is so famous after going through the themes and these narrative techniques. You need not require any additional help in understanding the novel. Hence, I stop here and thank you with a request that if you like my narration and depiction of the novel, please subscribe my channel English Wala, and later on I promise to you that I will be coming with only difficult novels like Midnight Children, Look Back in Anger, and difficult dramas like Tughlaq, etc. Thank you.